Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. It is Friday, November 15th. Oh my God, the end of the year is 6 weeks away. What are we going to do? I'm a sales coach and trainer, and I work with both individuals and organizations to help them do one thing and one thing only: increase their sales. And I founded the Sales Pro Network to elevate the profession of sales, to give salespeople a place to hang out, network with each other, learn, earn, ask questions, get advice. And if you've joined us before, you know that every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, I either do a live training or a live interview with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales. And today, my friends, of course, is no exception. Before I introduce our guest, I'd like to remind you that we do only have 6 weeks left to the end of the year, but that's not too late to still be closing sales. I have a lot of people coming to me right now. Jeff, what am I going to do? The end of the year is almost here. Everybody knows you cannot close business after Thanksgiving, which is only 2 weeks away. Well, guess what, my friends? That's what I call head trash. And I think we might be talking to the perfect person about that today. If you've got in your mind that you can't close sales after Thanksgiving, guess what? You're not going to close any sales after Thanksgiving. And I can guarantee you this, I will. In fact, I will close a deal the week between Christmas and New Year's just so I can get on here and tell you guys that I did it. Get rid of the head trash. There are still people who need exactly what you've got. You should be reaching out to every prospect you spoke to during the year who told you they want to think it over, who said a maybe, who said they had to talk to their friend or their relative or their partner or whatever. These people might be ready to do business if you just reach out and touch them. And I mean, pick up the phone and call them. Email is great, text is great, all that stuff is great, but reach out and call people. And the other thing is, do not stop prospecting, because the prospecting you do now is setting up your Q1. So with that, today's guest is the founder of Evolve Restorative Therapy. He's the creator of the Freedom Mastery Experience and the author of The Simple Path to Getting Everything Done. Please welcome Patrick Lerouge. Good morning, Patrick.
Hey, Jeff. Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing?
Good to see you, Patrick. Lerouge means the red, right? Are you Patrick the Red?
Yes, I am Patrick the Red. It's that's an old school joke that we have bad tempers, and that's what started my whole journey. Is I was always bottling things up because I have 4 brothers and we fought like maniacs, and we were very, very black or white, or blacker than red type of thing. We would go black out at the second and somebody would make us mad. So that's actually an inside joke for our family, which is really, really funny that most people don't know about.
Hey, before I give you the give you the 1,000,001 questions I have for you, because I'm fascinated by the mind-body connection. And when I work with my coaching clients, it's 50% skills and tips and tools and techniques, and 50% the mind game. And I think we're in agreement that the mind game is crucial to sales. But before we get into the questions I have for you, could you maybe give us the 2 to 3 minute version of your background?
So the easiest way that I always describe this is through an analogy. Whether you're a car person or a computer person, the reason why you're not getting things done, the reason why you're not doing something is because your mind and your body is not in alignment. So think about a car. Most people think it's always about mindset. Think about the car being the engine, right? The mindset is the engine. So if we put a Ferrari engine inside of a Houthi, inside of a Civic, it'll be able to run, but nowhere near as good as you think it can because it's a Ferrari engine. But what happens if you have the best body trained, everything working right, and your body's in line and it lines up, syncs up with the engine, your mind, then things become really, really simple. Then you just have to learn how to drive your car. So I work with people from not the mindset aspect of you need a better mindset. It's when you're trying to push hard and you can't follow through. Things just don't seem to be working out. You keep on doing something on the physical side. It's almost like you hit a goal, then your body fall apart. And there's a cycle of that. So I get people to clear up what's happening inside their body and sync up what's happening in their mind so they could do things way faster, way easier in that way. So I optimize performance in that way, rather than saying you just need to work on your mindset, because everybody understands that. But what most people don't realize with mindset work is if it doesn't make it real inside your body, you won't change your identity. And if you don't change your identity, you don't change who you are, you're never going to be able to make it. Right? Gotcha. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. But what's your background? What brought you to this work?
Oof, that's I'm not traditional in that way. So I started off as a massage therapist, went into energy work, went into mechanics of the body, understanding what makes the body work. Then I went to psychology. Then I went to all these different things. So I started off as a massage therapist and quickly learned that one avenue doesn't solve the bigger picture of the human organism. So I started to do that energy work as well as psychology and getting into generational learning and why we act the way that we act. I'm all about getting to the root cause of why a person's not getting to what they're doing, rather than saying, I'm a massage therapist, I need to move around your flesh. I'm a massage therapist that does all sorts of different things. I'm just like, I'm a person that's going to help you in many different ways using 24 years of me geeking out on how to make the body work. So that's always a hard question for me to answer, because I'm not one thing, I'm multiple things to help a person get past their particular hurdle. It's that's that curiosity that gets me to learn about what makes a person tick, that made me learn all these different aspects that get a person to shift over, because everybody's body is different, everyone's mind is different.
Gotcha. And of course, now I'm having a hard time concentrating because I'm just thinking I should get a massage. Yeah, I need a massage. I should definitely go get. There's very little I like better than somebody working on my back, my neck to the bottom of my lower back for like an hour. It's heaven when you find the right person. And I'm the kind of person who when I go into a spa, it's like, give me the person with the strongest hands. I don't want it to hurt, but I want it just 1 degree less than it's actually painful. I love that.
I used to hear that a lot. And then I started teaching people that understood that it doesn't have to be that hard to be more effective. It's almost like, again, that Ferrari engine in a Civic. If you push that thing to the floor, you're going to break something. And that's what most people do with everything. It's go big or go home. And sometimes you don't need that. To make things work simply, it should be smooth and easy. And that's where the flow state lies. Is in that smooth and easy place. And that goes for body work as well as self-care, as well as manifestation. You talked about getting all your sales in. Now, the easy thing to switch up is like, all right, so what type of people need to clear up all the money and spend all the money so they don't have to get hit with those taxes? If you find those people, then it becomes really simple to sell what you need to do. It's changing that perspective, that understanding inside yourself. That is a simple way of getting your goals hit or selling more things after Thanksgiving. Just to tap into the last part.
I'm glad you mentioned that thing with the taxes, because now is also a great time for anybody who's listening who sells to larger companies. This is a great time to reach out to them and see if they have any budget that they need to dump, because typically a department like a training department or any other department has a budget that they get for the year. And if they don't use it up, then they get less money next year. So at this time of year, I'm always reaching out to large corporate clients. And I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody say, oh, yeah. Can I send you a check for $25,000? Invoice me now. We'll just use it in the next year. Yes, absolutely. I will be your bank. So this is a great time to do that. Patrick, sales is part skills and techniques and tools and tips, and part mental, as I said. And I think you see it as a mental game too. Can you emphasize staying connected with the body? Can you explain why being grounded in the body is so crucial for success in sales and beyond?
So this is a very misunderstood thing, but I'm gonna make it really simple. When do you feel the best? Normally people say, I feel the best right after a vacation, or while I'm on vacation, maybe 2 or 3 days after. It makes people take a vacation and they go out in nature. They go out and do something other than the light-driven, the unnatural place that we call our lives. We do something out there and then we feel really, really good. And then that's when we are able to think about the new things. That's why people say you have to take those breaks. You have to get away from it all in order for you to be at your best. So being grounded doesn't mean you have to check out for a week, go to some cabin in the woods. It just means you have to now get connected with your body. As much unnatural things that you have in your life, bring in a little bit more nature will get your body to run better. And once your body starts to feel the nervous system starts to lower itself, you start to think better. So I have techniques that now get a person to work out differently. It's not about going to the gym and going hard, lifting all the weights, all on machines. It's about connecting with your body. And once you connect with your body, like if you want to go Eastern philosophy, if you want to go through the aspect of meridian systems, they start to flow better. And the more you flow, the more your brain and the frontal lobe starts to turn on more. Once your brain and your frontal lobe turns on, your skills of talking your relationship skills, your connection skills start to come up, because you're no longer in fight or flight. And that's why working out is becoming so big, because I have to work out. I have to get my workout in. It has to be hard, because then it vents my brain out. It's not only doing that, it's actually getting your frontal lobe to turn back on. And that's what's getting you able to now be able to speak clearly, connect with somebody. So being grounded is not about just going out in nature. It plays a massive part. But being grounded is all about how well your mind and your body syncs up to do the task that you're looking to do. And most people just force it. And that's why it's so black or white. It's either I got it or I don't, rather than realizing it's that flow state that you're going to come in and out of. With every conversation, you're going to be connecting with someone. And the better you connect, as you know, the more and more that person is going to trust you. And the more that person trusts you, they feel safe with you. And that's where a lot of easy decisions happen. It's like, I don't know why I did it. I love them. Here, take my money. In that way. So being grounded is a very, very, very important part, but most people don't access it well enough or know they're even doing it. They wait till something's broken.
So you mentioned, people go on vacation and they'll feel good. They'll go to a vacation somewhere, like you said, a mountain or a lake or someplace like that. And most people, if they take a vacation at all, maybe go for a week or two during the year. But it's important that we consistently stay grounded. Do we have to actually go sit at a lake and meditate in order to be grounded? Or is this something we can incorporate into our daily lives? And if so, how do we do that?
So there's, depending on which camp you go by, there's many different ways that you can do to get back into your body. Breath work is starting to be the biggest, big thing in the world now. It's the next fad, let's say. Our society is all going through fad cycles, but you are in your body all the time. Breath work works because it taps into breathing. So to get grounded, the easiest thing you could do is breathe. That gets you back here. Now, the whole concept of grounding is getting all the negative charged ions, the negativity in your body out, using skin to skin contact against the earth. So the earth pulls out all the negative stuff inside your body. That's why swimming in the ocean always feels so good. The salt content mess with your skin, takes all the things out. There's many aspects of them. I'm around that, but you want to think about it like that. How much can I get in my body? Right now, I'm wearing sneakers that has a rubber-soled shoe on it, as well as I'm under all these lights that just don't work for my body. If I had a grounding mat, which is right over there, I can stand on that. I have another mat that goes underneath my computer. That brings me back down as well, pulls all that negativity out. It doesn't have to be go out and spend 2 weeks in nature. It's the little things that you do, like how well am I breathing? One of the skills that I teach people is notice where you're breathing right now. Like if you took a nice, easy breath, is it in your chest or is it in your belly? And then did you change it because you know where it's supposed to be? You want to see that you're breathing naturally right into your belly because you're at ease. There's no one here to attack you. There's no one here trying to make you stay in this fight or flight state. So let's get you back into this world and just watch your breath. That right there will get you back into your body. And then that will get your mind and body connected for you to be at ease. And then grounding is just a matter of getting out and getting sun. So many people just don't get sun. It's surprising me the more and more I ask, when was the last time you were outside and actually just played a little bit? Maybe an hour or two a week. It's so wild. From here to the car doesn't count, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. I often speak to my clients about breathing. Breathing, we don't pay attention to it. It's part of our autonomic nervous system. We breathe. Air's coming in, air's going out. But I can't tell you how many times I've given people the advice: breathe deep. Take a really deep breath. I share with them, take a deep breath in consciously for 5 seconds, but fill your lungs completely. Don't just we're not filling our lungs completely normally when we breathe. Fill them completely, hold it for 5 seconds, breathe out slowly for 5 seconds and get all of it out, and then hold that for 5 seconds. I always tell people, you do that 3 times, 20 seconds, that's 3 times, 1 minute. You're going to feel different. I personally do that because one of my triggers is traffic. I'd like to be a cop, or I want to have one of those red lights on top of my car so I can just pull people over, because everybody else's driving makes me crazy. But I realized a few years ago that me getting upset about somebody going too slow or not using their turn signals, that's not affecting them, that's affecting me. And I've taught myself that when I feel myself getting that tension, my hands are on the steering wheel, my arms are getting tense, like breathe deep, and suddenly it's like, okay, asshole, do what you got to do. I'm going to be okay.
So can I lean into that a little bit more and give a little bit more? So this is the big thing that I want everyone to know. When someone's not getting what they want and not doing anything, one of my 3 worlds: your body's not in line. This is the freedom mastery experience. Body's not in line. Your mental emotional state is not in line. And your spirituality, whether it be God or whatever case, is not in line. Think about the Venn diagram where all of them meet is where your sweet spot is for whatever thing's happening, right? So when a person is now not in their body and they don't feel safe, for instance, driving and you're in the car and someone's pissing you off, then your body goes into a fight or flight mechanism. So if you tell a person to breathe in that point, they will breathe, but they'll breathe further into that fight or flight mechanism. So even when you breathe just now, your body went up like this, which means you're filling up all your lungs on the top side. That is associating and feeding a little bit more into that fight or flight concept, because now your body wants to run. And this is where you get a lot of your air. But to calm down, you just want to put your hands on your belly and notice if you were to breathe through your mouth or your noses preferably, think about it going down your backside of your back into your belly first and then up. That will turn off that fight or flight switch way faster than just breathing alone, because breathing alone brings you back in your body. But now we want to speed that up and get you calm faster. And this is one of the things that I tell people to do even during sales calls. When you do your silence moments, breathe through that and find your rhythm, find your place into your belly. So now your shoulders don't go up. It's just your belly expanding, and then it goes up into your chest. And that's how you get a full breath in as well.
And I'm assuming when you say put your hands on your belly, you don't mean to do that while you're driving.
Oh, now you can do it with one hand. But
Okay.
The trick is your seatbelt. Feel your belly button hit your seatbelt. And then feel how much you could push the seatbelt away and then blow back out.
So how do you know when you're really in alignment with your purpose in sales, and how does staying in touch with your body help to maintain that alignment?
Well, that is a good question. It goes with the nervous system. So again, we're going with the three worlds. When they're aligned, they're great and you're in flow. When things seem to be hard, you lost alignment someplace, whether it be your mental component mesh with your emotional, something's wrong with your body, or you're just not syncing up with your spiritual, your true purpose, knowing who you are. When people go through sales and they're having a hard time, one of those three are broken, and it has a lot to do with safety. So how do you know you're in alignment with sales and your purpose? It's if everything is flowing well. You don't really need to motivate yourself. It's just like, I'm going, let's have some fun. Like I get up and I'm smiling. You're aligned with your purpose. Not saying that is like where everything is like, I'm making millions of dollars and I'm the best person I am. It's like when you have easy flow to do the things that you need to do, you're in line with your purpose. Because on the flip side of that, just because you're aligned with your purpose, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You have to remember you gain, you grow, you go through the go through the challenges to now have a way of getting your body to now get better. The stronger you are is based off the challenges that you went through. So the easier you are to jump into those challenges, the stronger you're going to be, the more aligned you are. But when you see a challenge, you're just like, no, I can't do it. And you collapse on yourself. That's when you're no longer in alignment with your purpose as well with sales.
So besides the breathing techniques, how can sales professionals use their body to identify and break through any subconscious blocks that they might have, or any limiting beliefs that they might have that are affecting their performance?
What limiting belief do you hear a lot about? Let's get a little bit more detailed a little bit. Do you have a belief that you hear a lot? Like you brought up, I can't find prospects or something.
I hear excuses.
Excuse
one of those. Just like you can't sell during the summer, you can't sell. You can't sell after the Thanksgiving. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody picks up the phone. Nobody returns my. There's all those things that I hear constantly.
So excuses stem from a place where you don't believe something inside yourself. So the question is, what can I do when something like that pops up? Correct?
Yeah.
So when you hear an excuse, you have to now figure out where's that excuse coming from, which means something's broken in the top row, where it's like something's broken inside your body. Let's say I didn't sleep well at night. I have to make all these phone calls. I'm not going to be properly lined up to do those phone calls. Does that make sense? So then sure. I'm going to have these excuses. I don't want to do this. This is hard.
I'm too tired. I'm mentally foggy.
So that is a simple answer. Now you have to get out of that state. So you have to bring your body back in line. You go outside for a second, do some push-ups, bring your body back in line to break that state. So the first thing you have to do is find out, what are you saying to yourself, actually listening to yourself, finding out if it's a body thing, mental, emotional thing, or a spiritual thing. On the mental, emotional side, it's I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to sell during the summer. I'm supposed to be a special person. I'm not special enough. All those different things are going through your head. Then you have to find out how your body's responding to that. Clean up that by going outside, doing some push-up, doing something that's going to excite your body. And once you have those things in line, you have the ability to now change that. That's the thing that people are going through. They're trying to push too hard to make changes rather than saying it's something simple. And it's not something that's going to change. Let me rephrase that. It's not always going to change in a moment's notice. It could just be, I'm going to put it on the side for now because right now I can't deal with it. The good example is I have 3 kids and I do a lot of walking. That's where we get a lot of our sunlight. And if one of my kids, she's 8, when she was 3, let's say, she was in the middle of the road and she's crying because she doesn't want to do something. She's crying in the middle of the street. I wouldn't take that moment to get down on her level, look her in her face. I'm like, honey, you're safe. You're okay. I wouldn't do that at that precise moment. I'd say, get up. Let's go over here and we'll deal with it when we get across the street because right now it's unsafe. When people try to do this, is because they're behind and their needs and wants are not being taken care of. Their basic needs are not taken care of. So they feel unsafe. So their body's falling apart. I need to make a sale. And they get really, really reactionary. That's not the time to do what I just said. That's the time of like, all right, we have to get you through this moment. So now it's not, what do I do? Why am I doing this? It's like, all right, this is what's happening. Let me get moving. You have to break that cycle by getting your body back in line and letting your body take control rather than your inner child. Whenever somebody reacts, when you lose your mind on the road and you want to curse somebody out and people go as far as road rage, hopefully you're not that type of person, but it's all their inner child, their inner reactionary self is always childlike, and it just has adult power. So instead of letting that person take control, you have to now calm that person down and say, all right, let's go over here. We'll deal with it later. But right now, I need to make a sale. So find out what is the thoughts that's happening inside your head. Bringing down your nervous system by going outside, calming yourself down, which takes some foresight. Then you can deal with it. If you're in the moment, get back into your breath and calming yourself down. One of the skills that I taught a lot of people is all you have to do is use your senses. So if you're in the middle of a sales thing and you feel yourself losing connection to yourself as well as to the person, because once you lose a connection to yourself, you lost a connection to the person. You want to start using your senses. Ask them what they feel like. What do they smell? What are they smelling? What does this smell like? What are you drinking? And then think about it inside your head, which then brings you back into yourself and brings you back into the conversation. Does that make sense? That's how you break that cycle, but it's a deeper aspect of clearing up that belief in the first place.
Yeah, the great Tony Robbins often says, get into motion. Motion equals emotion. So
correct.
Yeah, and I personally, when I'm sitting at my desk, because I do a lot of virtual work, and I'm just not feeling it, it's like, you know what? Time to walk the dog. Let's get outside. Let's take a walk. I live by the beach, so I walk them down to the beach. You said sunlight. There's depending on the day, but usually there's plenty of that. I find that just a 10 to 15 minute, walk with the dog is like, okay, I'm back. I'm ready. It takes that shift. But I want to talk about something that you mentioned a moment ago, because I hear all the time from people. They have this "I'm not good enough" thought. I have one of my closest friends in the world. She has a thought all her life: she's not good enough. She doesn't deserve good things. And it's deeply ingrained. So how do we get past that deeply ingrained stuff to the other side where we understand that we actually are good enough?
So in my practice, the way that I do it is through the experience. So my whole process is called the Freedom Mastery Experience. The experience is what gives you the experience, the exercises throughout your everyday to prove to yourself that you are good enough. It's just now you need to see that to rewire it. Now that's the slow way. So we're going to mesh the slow way with the fast way. Every day, your body, because you have that belief, depending on if we're actually noticing it and switching it in that moment, we would have to look at that day and say, so what made you really good today? Like, what did you do that showed you that you were good? It could be as easy as I got out of bed and helped somebody cross the street. I got out of bed and I helped a client today. That's what made you good. And if you start focusing on that, the universe, your God, whatever, will start giving you more experiences to prove to yourself that way. And now you're actively combating that negative belief. That's the slower way. Make sense?
Yep.
The faster way is creating a new perspective, as well as a new identity, a new mindset, right? A new belief system around I am good enough, which means you have to actively combat yourself in a low nervous system state. So when you are calm, you're proving to yourself that you are right. And this is where some therapies use EMDR, which they go into the subconscious mind. Some people use like the Tony Robbins uses your power, uses everything to now drive it into your body. It's meshing both worlds together to get her to shift through that. So it's getting into your body and saying, I am good enough. I am good enough. And that's why affirmations are being done. But affirmations in my eyes are not being done well enough because they're not doing it in a calm state or a highly energetic charged state. So now I'm getting a little bit more technical on why it works well. But she now can't just sit there and say, I am good. I am good. Like, you have to be able to feel that. You have to have an energetic component to it, because anything that you remember from your childhood is going to have a highly energized, either emotional charge, which is positive or negative. You don't remember the blah days. It's this guy kicked my butt, or I fell in love with this girl, right? It's one of those two. So you barely remember those days until your brain actually starts sifting through the files because you're being asked. But those things that are highly charged, those things are the things that define you at first. So now we have to find those defining charges for her. Let's use I'm not good enough. Find that beginning I'm not good enough place where you first felt that. Go into that moment, repolarize that moment right then and there. And this is closer to Tony Robbins' work, let's say. But more so, you have to feel it inside your body, not just inside your mind, if that helps.
Yeah. Many people in sales try to, how would I say, push through discomfort, such as fear of rejection. What's your view on this? Should we be pushing through? Should we work through the pain, or is there a better approach?
Now, this is a fun one because there is time that you need to work through discomfort. Pain is not always a bad thing, but it's a red line indicator. So bring ourselves back to the car analogy, right? If you're redlining your car all the time, it's going to blow. That's how people burn out, because they're just pushing their engine in their Civic really, really bad, and something's going to go, right? We have to get you to a place where we have to understand in every situation, in every experience, where are you on your nervous system red line in that way? So when I get people to work out and they're doing the exercises, I want them to feel their body in such a way that they're not redlining, but they're really dialed in, connected to a muscle tissue. The more you can feel that muscle tissue, the faster it's going to develop. Same thing with the emotion. If I get a person that's feeling rejected, feeling fear, I ask them, why are you feeling unsafe? What is happening? And then I bring them back to that moment, clear up that moment to do so. That's what you have to do. So pushing to pain only put your body into a fight or flight response. You'll survive the instance, but you won't thrive or learn from it, which means you're doomed to repeat that all over again. We have to get you to lower your nervous system, learn what you need to learn, so the universe says, oh, you learned that, and you actually integrate it and put it into your day so you don't have to see that lesson all over again. So when a person feels rejected, they have to realize that that was just that instance way back in the day. Like this girl, I was in earth science, and I asked her out. I was in ninth grade. Asked her out, and she said, no, I'm rejected. I'm not good enough. There goes both of them all at the same time. I now take that into sales. High pressure. I have to talk to somebody. I have to sell to somebody. It's not high pressure. But I feel that same child going to get rejected again. I have to go back into that moment, clear up that moment, and realize this is a completely different day. And I'm at ease. I'm a completely different person. And I'm here to help them, give them value. And once that happens, everything starts to flow better. If that answers that question, it's all about getting back to that moment, bringing yourself back into your body so you can clear it up, so you can do the things that you need to do, rather than just pushing through it. I can do it, because so much of us we're willpower driven people. Like, we are going to do it. But that's not always going to work, because if we're going around a curve and we're redlining the car, there goes, you're going to crash. It's almost like the other example I give people is computers. If you have 88 screens open on your computer and you don't have RAM, like a good enough system inside your body to deal with that, your computer is going to crash. It's only a matter of time. It's blue screen of death because you're not dialed in. You're not dialed into how your body is functioning and are you capable of doing it? Does that make sense? It's all about self-awareness.
And it sounds like you're saying what I've heard from so many others and read so many times, that most of the stuff that's in the way of our happiness, success, health, and all that stuff is stuff that happened to us before we were 8 years old. We're reacting to stuff that we heard at 4 or 5 or 6, and it's running us like little robots all our life. So until we get in touch with that stuff and find a way to deal with it, we're doomed to kind of continue fighting some more. And the pushing, you often hear that in the gym, no pain, no gain, work through the pain. I can tell you that when I don't go to a gym anymore, I work out at home. But when I used to go to a gym, it's like, if I hurt myself, if I'm in pain from the workout I did, I don't want to work out. I don't want more pain. So it's actually a negative. Yes.
Correct. So let's go back into two things. One, you're 100% going after pain. Your body's going to resist that. It's almost like if you told your child, we're going to do something, it's going to suck and it's going to hurt. You're going to go to the dentist. He's going to give you all these needles. The kid's going to be like, no, I'm not doing it. Why would I do that? And I used to teach people about how to stretch properly, how to do self-care. And the first thing I have them do is have them show me their routine. And then very excited. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is how I did it. And I'm seeing them grimace. I'm seeing them making faces. They're like, oh, yeah, this feels really, really good. I was like, all right, would you do that to a 2-year-old? Like, no. I was like, so why are you doing it to yourself? And that's how I shift the perspective of it needs to be harder. You don't need to go something to pain. If you wouldn't do it to a 2-year-old, why would you do it to yourself? Like, that's the important part, which then brings us back to why. And when you said, I'm going to geek out a smidgen, from 0 to 7, your brain is not developed. So from 0 to 7, you do something called imprinting to learn. So you gain all of your experiences, all your deeper beliefs that's unconscious comes from the environment that you were raised in from 0 to 7. And that dictates up to 80 to 90% of the actions that we do today, and we don't even realize it's happening. That's why there's so many more studies showing us going back. It's like, oh, you learned that from here. And that's why they're back in the, I play when I say, oh, you have mommy, daddy issues, right? The reason why that is because they're your major teachers back then. You have so many connections to them, whether they're in your eyes, good or bad. I tell all my clients their parents did the best that they can do. And that translate into how you're acting today as a normal human being. That's the deeper part of clearing up the mental, emotional side.
That's a crucial get. I worked with a superstar coach for a year. And one of the things she taught me was that everyone is doing the best that they can do. She and I shared a client. I was working with a client. She was working with the same client. So she knew the staff there. And I was moaning to her one time about, I hate this woman and she's a bitch and she does her best to undermine everything I do and I can't stand her. And she blah, blah, blah. And my coach looked at me and she goes, do you understand she's doing the best she can every day? I'm like, no, she's not doing the best she can. And I had a realization. She's not doing the best she can according to me. But she's doing the best she can for her. And that when you accept that everybody's doing the best they can. And the other thing she taught me, which I never forget, is you can only fix the person in the mirror. I was never going to fix this employee that I was having a hard time with. And when you start working on the person in the mirror, the people around you start shifting. It's not that you're changing them, you're changing you, and the way they react to you shifts. Yes.
Yes. Now, that's awesome, because to bring it right back into sales, your energy, the way that you are inside your body, infuses in the call, infuses into the next person. So if you are nervous, if you're rushing through something because you're uneasy about something, they're going to feel something off, and that will bring their protection mechanisms back up, and they will pull away because something is off in the energy, right? So when a person is, I'm not calling you judgmental. When a person does what you did, which was a judgmental aspect, I'm not calling you judgmental because you.
Oh no, I was being judgmental, absolutely.
But you learn. I'm not saying that's you now.
I get it.
You are now being closed-minded. It needs to be your way or the highway, and that's forcing a sale. And that's where people, if a person has a lot of what is it called when they buy something and then they say
buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse. That's what it is. It's because they were sold. But if a person feels scared, it's like, oh, did I make a good mistake? They're more likely to be like, hey, I'm a little nervous. They're more likely to talk to you rather than being met with that judgmental sold to, and then like, oh, I don't want it because now I was judged, I was sold to. Now they're like, I'm still a little scared. And then you have a chance to talk to them and add more value. And it's no longer about dealing with an objection. It's just now making that person feel safe to keep on going further. And that's the way that I reframe objections as well, if it's based off of safety.
I'm so glad you use that word, safety. I interviewed a neuropsychologist I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he's an expert at helping people devise a message that makes their prospects feel safe, because he says that's what we're all craving. And it goes back to that fight or flight that you talked about. We're not fighting saber-toothed tigers. Well, I'm not that men and saber-toothed tigers lived at the same time, but we're not living in the days where everything we do could kill us in a second. Although there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but it's not that same environment. And when we have that fight or flight thing all the time, it's going to transfer over in our interactions. And part of our job is to help the prospect feel safe in making their decision. I don't actually sell anybody anything, and I don't teach people to sell, even though I'm a sales trainer. I teach people how to have great conversations, because I'm not actually selling you. You're selling yourself. People choose to do business with me. It's not like I talk them into anything. And that's why I think that I become so good at selling, so good that I'm able to have people pay me to teach them how to do it. It's because I'm not really teaching selling. I'm teaching how to have a great conversation that gets enough people to feel comfortable and safe, like you said, so that they choose to do business with me or whoever I'm working with. I want to talk about something else, because you've talked a lot about energy. I want to talk about energy management. I know you work with high performers who push themselves really hard. And you say that the key to all day energy is in how you move. What advice do you have for salespeople to maintain their high energy levels and prevent burnout?
All right. So the first thing is, where is the majority of the energy going? Right. We are the people that I work with a lot of is all about strategy over understanding. They try to outthink a body problem. So I'm going to stay with the body problems. If you're running out of time, if you're doing stuff, you're going to look into time management skills. The Pomodoro method is where I teach people things like that when they have that, right? But when you're now running out of energy inside your body, like you're just feeling tired, run down, it's because muscle systems are not working. To get geeky and sciencey again, the more you move your muscles, the more the muscles create energy. That's where a lot of your energy supplies are stored and made, inside your muscles. So the more muscle fibers and the more muscles you have available to you, the more you move them, the more your rechargeable battery recharges itself. So if you start to do things more and more when you're moving and you're having not vibrant actions, but doing full range of motion actions, the more those muscle tissues are going to turn on and give you energy for the long term. So depending on where a person uses their energy the most, either they're overthinking, worrying about things, they have a lot of things broken or not aligned in the mental, emotional world, or the physical world. I have to bring them back into their physical body. The easiest way that I tell people that, because I work with a lot of high performers that say, I go to the gym, I surf, I do this, I go to the gym, in the gym all the time. I ask them one simple question. What are you doing in the gym? Oh, I do a lot of the machines, doing a lot of running, and I'm doing a lot of static dumbbell work. I was like, all right, perfect. What you just told me was you are now working the anterior side of your body more so. Even though you split in a back day here or there, a leg day here or there, you are now working, because the majority of the machines that you have are seated and it's static. So you can do whatever you do. I know you don't go to the gym, but it's always the way it's been. What that's doing is feeding the anterior chain of your body. And what that does, it puts you into a flexion point of view. And when you put yourself in a flexion point of view, it puts you into, I need to protect myself. And then your brain goes into a fight or flight mode without you ever recognizing it. So what you have to start doing is getting them to open up their body, getting their back of their body to start becoming more stronger to compete with the back, with the front side. Because we are an anterior-driven society. Everything is in front of us, which means by nature, 2-to-1, our anterior part of our body is getting more electrical charge, stronger than our back. So then when we try to get our beach body and we want to look all good, we're adding more energy to that, which then turns off the back more, which means you're more prone to depressive thoughts. You're more prone to want to survive through something rather than thriving through something. So to shift somebody quickly, now that that's out of the way, is I have to get them to understand what exercises are you doing to open up. And I have a morning routine that does that surprising thing within 3 exercises. It gets you to open up and it changes the way that your brain moves inside your head. So to save energy, to get more energy through movement, it's not just I have to get out and walk. It's more like, how well am I getting my hamstrings to turn on? How well am I getting my glutes to turn on? How well am I getting my upper back, my lower back? How well am I opening my chest, right? It's not about peacocking and thing like this, because this seems awkward. And you see a lot of people do that. It's more about naturally, where do you stand? So if I was like this, I look and feel completely different than my natural place of being open, right? When you come into a situation and you have conditioned the right muscles to stay on, then you have natural energy. And that's the point, is getting you to natural energy, not just doing one thing to feel good. Does that answer your question?
Partly, but I want to go further. So many people today sit at their desks all day. They're sitting at their desk, they're hunched over a computer screen, their back hurts, their neck hurts. So if you are a person whose job does involve you sitting at your desk all day, what exercises can they do to open themselves up to have some of this energy you're talking about?
So shameless plug, I'm going to, if you email me or reach out to me whatsoever, I will give you a mini course that is for people that need to learn about their body and to break the cycle of sitting all day. But the biggest thing that you need to do is you have to get your hip flexors to open up. You have to get your body to elongate by getting your glutes to work. That's the main thing. Inside the course, I teach you other ways to do and bump up energy. And it's as simple as foam rolling. I get people to foam roll their calf. Their calf muscle, which is the muscle that's the lowest part of your leg, that acts as a second heart. So if you get that area to open and close, it brings up all the latent blood from your feet all the way to your heart, which then gives you a boost of energy naturally, quickly. So if you're looking for an easy energy bump, foam roll your calf properly, not just mangle it. That's a different conversation. But if you do that, that's how you get it. So inside that course, to get you to stop sitting so much, it's not about you have to stand all day. You have to do standing desks. Like we're both at standing desks. Standing all day in one spot is just as bad, because now you can stand and lock your knees. And once you lock your knees, you're no longer using muscle tissue. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
now, I call it pogo sticking. You're pogo sticking and you're very rigid. And if I talk to you and I was trying to do sales and I was like this, it doesn't feel right. It feels off. You need to be able to have the muscle tissue working properly in order for you to be at ease. And you see the mind-body connection that's always needs to be in line. As soon as that severs, something is going off in that way. So if you're sitting all day, you have to now, one, get your calves to work, because now you're not really working there, as well as get your glutes to fire and your hip flexors to open naturally, not just, I need to do a stretch. You need to do it often enough where that's its normal position, which then you'll be surprised. You'll sit longer without the falling apart business. And that's what the course is all about.
So it sounds like you're saying focus less on my chest and more on my ass.
Correct. I had when I was a massage therapist and I was developing all the hands-on stuff, I had one Reiki practitioner. She's like, "You're all about the ass. You're all about the ass. You're an ass man." I was like, "I guess you're right." That joke definitely falls in line there. But it's more about the more and more you can get your glutes to work, your upper glutes. So many people think, "Oh, my butt works," and they're just touching the lower part of their butt cheeks. Think about the big ham. It's the lower part of the ham. You need the upper part of the ham to work. That the glute muscle is in 3 sections. You want that upper side to work. And once that upper side works, it starts to open up the hip naturally. And if you can get that to work, things get better. But when you sit on it all day, you deplete it from blood. So it doesn't work. So that's why sitting all day never really is good, as well as standing all day could never work. You want to be able to move around and balance. And that's why my whole studio is based off of moving around, and me doing calls like this. I just move around all day.
Gotcha. What is healthy competition with yourself?
Oh, that's a good one. So healthy competition with yourself is, everyone knows, like, you should never compete with somebody else. You're always looking at what you did and be 1% better than what you did before, right? The more and more you can get yourself to realize that if I'm going to get good at sales, for instance, let's keep it in the sales component. It's like, all right, what do I need to work on? Not this person hit this number of sales. This person did that. I have to be that number one salesman. I have to act like them, I have to be like them. You have to find your own personal view of how sales works for you. You embody that within yourself. And the only way you could do it is not competing outwards, is looking inwards and saying, what do I need to work on? Like I don't want to say I'm not a comedian at all, but I am a little funny. I am animated, but that's just me. Like we found our stage voice. Some people need to find their stage voice. They need to be able to act out and have some fun and be like, oh, snap, that's funny. Like you need to be able to do that naturally. And the only way you can do that is challenge yourself and be better than yourself 1% from yesterday, from last year. And the easiest way I get people to do that is I say, compare yourself to last year. What is better and what is worse? And then you start to look behind you like, all right, I did this good. And then you start to realize I'm doing a lot of things better 1% than I was last year, which then feeds your self-esteem, which feeds a new identity. And as you become a new identity, you become closer and closer to that person you want. Does that answer that?
Yeah. Here's a personal one that I'm interested in. You wrote something called The Ultimate Guide to Calming Your Body and Nervous System for Better Sleep. As someone who, as I get older and older, I seem to sleep worse and worse. How do I get better sleep?
So better sleep is, there's so many sleep studies and there's so many sleep things. This is now looking inward, finding out what you're actually doing and working from there. So I'm going to give you a case study rather than because I don't know you. Person was having a hard time staying up. Let me rephrase this. Staying awake during the day because she was not doing well during the nights, right? So she was waking up later. She couldn't stay awake. She was having so much trouble with things like that. So we had to look at what she was doing, what was keeping her up. There was a mixture between, and she is in sales. There was a mixture between when she would go to sleep, she would stay with her husband late at night. He works a later night shift. So she would stay awake with him, and she got conditioned to sleep closer to 1 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, which then offset her sleep cycle. So number one is we have to get you back into your sleep cycle. And it's going to be not go to sleep with the sun. Like I teach everybody, go to sleep with the sun, do things with the sun. The more and more you're closer to the sun, your digestive system, your sleep is different. All sorts of things are different. But in order to get there, you have to regress it. Start by a half hour a day or a week, depending on where you're at. And once you get that in line, then you're like, all right, I'm sleeping a little bit earlier. That's number one. Number two, are you getting enough sunlight? Right? Sunlight plays a massive role in balancing how your melatonin works. There's so many studies about that, but you want to get a little bit more sunlight, a lot more sunlight. And then this is where the blue glasses are coming in line a lot, is because we as much as you brought that saber-tooth tiger joke up, it's still the same. The world is still trying to kill us. From the things that we eat, the air that we breathe, the water, everything is out to kill us. It's just not really fast. And it's so slow, you don't notice it until it's over. So just the lights that we have, like I have different types of lights. It's still blue light, but I can diminish it, right? I can change the color coding of it, but it still emits blue light. People think it's, I just have to now not watch TV between an hour or two before sleep. That works, but more so is how much blue light are you getting throughout the day? And if you're always in front of your desk and you're trying to just go to sleep right when you're done with work, you shower, you calm yourself down and try to go to sleep, it still won't work because there's a lot of blue light still locked up in your system. It accumulates. The sun actually balances that out. So getting to sleep to circadian rhythm, because I don't know what's happening, getting as much blue light as possible. And then for her, it was a matter of changing on the fact that she's connecting with her. She's doing it for her. I need you to heal yourself. And then number 4 is you need to track it. If you do all 4 of those, what you can measure, you can manage, what you manage, you can scale, right? So as long as you're doing those things, you'll start knowing where you're falling apart. And then you can go to somebody and be like, this is exactly what I'm doing. And they'll be like, oh, you're making a mistake right here. Or we need to make a change right here. A lot of people don't realize if you're waking up in the middle of the night, your glucose is probably off. You're getting a glucose spike and your body's looking for fuel and you need to do it. Now, take that with a grain of salt because I don't know if that's you or not. And I don't know what time you're waking up. And I worked with people that also have hot flashes, things like that. They have to understand your body's going through something natural, but it is something off, right? You now need to balance for where you're at, and that is what's waking you up. Oh, a good one, a different case that I worked with. He was waking up between the 3 o'clock hour and the 4 o'clock hour. I'm sorry, 2 o'clock hour and the 4 o'clock hour every single time. And then he would wake up and I would say, all right, so what's waking you up? And eventually we got him within weeks. He was like, I'm starting to notice my brain is turning on for work. And then he started to realize the bigger picture is he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to succeed because he's actually growing a business to sell it. So now he's worried about if he's doing it, and that's what's bringing his brain turns on, because at the 2 o'clock hour, your brain gets a massive dump of energy to start cleaning itself up. But if your body's not calm, it won't get deep REM sleep. It will spool up to wake you up. And that also happens because of glucose levels, so on and so forth. So it's a matter of when you wake up, what's happening inside yourself. And that only happens when you have that first initial things dialed in as best as you got. Time you're sleeping, how much sunlight you're getting, and then dark rooms, the blue light, yada, yada, yada. Once you get those things in, it'll dial in, and then you'll get better sleep no matter what. If you just slept with the sun or woke up with the sun, slow down your blue level exposure and raise your sun exposure, everybody gets better sleep. Everybody does.
Well, I can't sleep with the sun. I mean, the sun's going down at like 4:30 now.
So this is the fun part. I started adding this. I'm geeking out. I'm sorry. I'm adding this to my day, and it sounds weird. My wife laughed at me. I started adding more candle lights to my life.
More what?
So when the candlelight. So right after dinner, we start lighting candles around the house, and everything, the whole dynamic of the house changed from 7 o'clock to 6:30 to 9:30, 10, because now everyone's asleep by 9:30, 10 in my house. And my daughters were always a good sleeper, but now I see a massive difference in that. Wow. So yes, the sun goes down at earlier, but you don't have to go to sleep. You just have to mitigate how much blue light that's keeping you awake. And I just did it through candlelights.
Interesting. Okay. You recently had a setback. You injured your hand and you couldn't move it at all, but you had a couple of tools that you used to accelerate your recovery. What tell us about that, if you would.
All right. So we're going to geek out. This only works if you have the basics in line. I teach people the basics, and then you can start supercharging your car. So I have the basics in line where I am doing the movement therapy. I am hydrating myself. I am doing all the things that you need to be: sleeping properly, eating properly, sleeping, yada, yada, yada. But the tech that I used was now putting a body that's already in a certain place, just like grounding, makes your body heal faster. I put it in a frequency that also heals better. So I am 5 days out and my hand is almost perfect. It's this one. So you see, it's almost perfect. I can squeeze, I can grab. I don't really have much pain. I'm like maybe two, or it's more of an annoyance. I feel it and my knuckles want to crack because of grinding on it. 5 days of it being completely blown out, right? You have to now understand, where does my body heal best? And I had frequencies to do it. And then I also, in order for your body to heal, it needs blood flow. So I use tech called Katsu and a frequency device. Katsu is a blood pressure modification that you put on your arms, and this is ridiculously good for mental clarity as well as longevity of life, because it's going to start working out your circulatory system, vasodilating and constricting your blood vessels. What that did is start to allow more blood flow to run through my hand, which allowed the inflammation and the swelling to go away, and so on and so forth from there.
So you're talking about a physical device that you were wearing?
Correct. I'm getting off screen, but I swear I'm coming back. It's called Katsu, and it's literally a little box, and it's electrical. A lot of people are doing it manual, which I don't agree with. Is you cut the circulation off and then you do movement. This has an algorithm, a computer that now does it, but it always allows blood flow to come into your heart, so you're never starving the muscle tissue for oxygen, and it allows it to do it better than just putting a band around your wrist. But yes, that is a physical device that I used.
Gotcha. And so you were doing the Katsu, and what was the other thing you were doing?
It's a frequency device. That's a little harder for me to show you, but it's your body is made of generates different frequencies. It vibes well with different frequencies. the more and more you could put it into a healing frequency. That's why some sounds you resonate well with and some sounds you don't. It's because there's a different frequency that runs with it. The more and more you put yourself in proper frequencies, the more the cells of your body responds to them, either positively or negatively. It's almost like if you're, no, I won't go into that, but does that make sense? The more and more you can put yourself in the environment, and let's put it back into sales. If you want a person to calm themselves down, you would play some music that's calming. People say the spa music, but it's not always like that. I'm just using that as an example. So in sales, if you want to amp yourself up and get back into your body, you'd play something. I'm going to do this in two ways. You play something that now amps you up. It doesn't have to be heavy metal. Now, hack to this, and this is where I get geeked out, is whatever you listen to in high school and your first 2 years of college, you had the most positive experiences to those musics. That's why everyone says, this is my jam, this is my thing. And it's always between high school, the end of high school, and the middle of college. It's because you had so many experiences. So if you found music like that, that would amp you up way better, get you back into your body to execute way better.
Fantastic. I'm watching the clock and we're quickly running out of time, and I've got a million more questions for you. So let's choose one. How about this? You recently asked the question on not Facebook, on LinkedIn. What if productivity isn't about tools or time management at all? Isn't it?
So this is where I go. This is where I go with the Pomodoro technique. I teach people the Pomodoro technique, which is time blocking, right? Everyone's trying to outthink a physical problem, right? So the reason why you're kicking the can down the road and you're running out of time is because you are doing more things that you want to do rather than things that you need to do. The reason why that happens is because there's some fear or some energy that's saying, I don't want to do it. Your kid saying, I don't want to cross the street when you need to cross the street. You now need to get back into your body so you can understand what those things are. So you no longer waste the time. You now say, I'm going to eat the frog first. I'm going to do the big hard thing first. Right? So when people say I have to do more, like when they learn something's wrong, they try to be more strategic about it. I have to learn a strategy to get X, rather than realizing your body is what's putting on the e-brake. Your body is saying no, which means you have to look internal and find out why your e-brake is on in that way. So it's not always about strategy. It's always about connecting to yourself so you can utilize the strategy, so you can do it even better in that way. And that is something that a lot of people are still confusing to try to get to their goals, to everything they want. They're looking for another strategy rather than realizing you have everything that you need right now inside you. You just have to realize you're not accessing it because you're thinking with one of the two things that need it. You need them both to sync up. And the easiest example is with the computer. Is like computers designed by code. It's all code. You can have the best computer in the world. But if you don't have a monitor and the thing that says this is what the code does and it shows it to you, nothing would work. The computer is worthless. And that is our mind has all the code, all the things, and our body shows us it. And that's why body language, people that read do a lot of body language stuff, read body language, knows what's happening. Illusionists just looking at your body, reading your body, and projecting different aspects of that because they're looking at you, right? You need to be able to see that your body is telling you way more and in way more control. It's not mind over body. They're both synced, and you can't live without one. So one's not better than the other. If that answers that question.
It does, sir. And we're actually out of time. So I'm going to share my screen. And for the people who are watching live, they'll be able to see this. But for the people who hear this on a podcast in a week or two, can you tell them how to reach you if they're interested?
So there's a bunch of different ways. The easiest way is going down to the bottom right and just scanning that QR code that actually will give you a bunch of free resources on it. You're going to have to text the number right above that, which is 878-688-7378. And that would give you a direct line to me. You can ask me any questions you want, but the one that you want to ask is, how can I get the mini course on sitting all day? And I'll just give you the link. Up above that is my Sleek Bio, which you can have access to just about my book, anything that happens, which is Sleek Bio /Patrick 1. And those are the easiest way to get a hold of me. The best way is I'm still old school. I like to talk to everybody. Text me. I love talking to people and getting people to understand the root of your issue is through a conversation.
Awesomeness. Patrick, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance so generously. I truly appreciate it. And I'll end as I always do. Please remember, gang, sales is a game of making things happen. So get out there and make sales happen. And you still have 6 weeks this year to do so. Get out there and do it. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.